Hey, this is Zachary Ezrin from Imperial Triumphant, and you're watching Agoraphobic News.
Hey, Milos here of Agoraphobic News, this time with Imperial Triumphant. Hello guys, how are you?
Wonderful.
Sweaty but good.
Yeah. So you guys are about to release a new album called Spirit of Ecstasy on July 22nd via Century Media, right? So can you tell us something more about it?
What do you want to know about it?
How it's going to sound like?
It's going to sound like the craziest album you've ever heard in your life. Or not. But either way, I think we worked really hard on it, and it's something that if you're into Alphaville and Vile Luxury, this is the next step down the rabbit hole, deeper into the chaos, and we hope you all enjoy it.
And do you have some comment on it?
I think Zach summed it up perfectly. You know, it's probably our most enigmatic record we've ever made as a band, as this trio. So I think fans are going to dig it.
Yeah. And recently, so you released this video called Mercurius Gilded, and it features Kenny G, right? So how did that happen?
That happened basically, his son, Max Gorlick, was a member of Imperial for about a year. He did a couple tours with us, and he's a good, close friend of mine. And I think last summer or something, I just asked him, would you and your dad be down to do a dueling solo on this track, Mercurius Gilded, because I'm imagining some real chaos there, and they are both down, so it worked out really great, and I'm very, very happy with what they made.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you have something to add?
I mean, not for that part. No, I don't know Kenny G personally, but we're stoked to have him on there. I mean, he did an incredible job, and so did Max. I mean, they both really wrote some beautiful shit to play on this song, and we're stoked.
Yeah. And so in the song Maximalist Scream, you did a collaboration with Snake of Voivod, so how did that happen?
Snake got into our music, I think, through the Voivod cover of Experiment that we did on the last album. And we're both on the same record label, so the label was able to connect us, and he was into collaborating with us. And again, we're very lucky to work with him, and I'm very happy with what he laid down. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. And are you a big fan of Dimension Hatras?
Very big fan.
Yeah. And did that album have a really huge impact on what you're doing in Imperial Triumphant?
Yes.
And what about you? Did that album have a big impact on you?
Out of everybody in the band, I'm probably the person who at least had an impact on, because I came to Voivod many, many, many years later, in more recent years. But I highly respect what they do, and the deeper I get into the catalog, the more I really love and appreciate them. And it's sort of like, for our bassist and I, Steve, we're both huge. I mean, he's a huge Voivod fan, so he's the guy to ask. But we're both also very big Rush fans, and seeing how both those bands create the albums that they make and getting more into their repertoire, it's been inspiring in that sort of sense. And it definitely has had an effect, I think, on maybe how we've looked at some arranging on this album. But, I mean, this band, it's all a medley. It's all a potpourri. We just throw everything in the gumbo.
Yeah. And who is the biggest Residence fan in your band?
Me.
Absolutely.
Did you listen to all of their albums?
No, I don't think anyone ever has. I don't even think they have.
And did you watch the movie Residence called A Theory of Obscurity?
I don't think I don't think I have. I'm thinking of 200 Motels, which is a completely different band.
Very different.
I don't think I've seen it, no.
Yeah. And would you guys label your music like dissonant black metal, or maybe avant-garde black metal, or something like that?
Sure. You can call it whatever you like. It's going to be us at the end of the day.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts about it?
About what are
the genre called
Well,
dissonant
you know,
black metal or
It's such a cliche to be like, we can't put a label on our music.
I mean, it's all those things and then some, you know. I mean, it's like, really, what is a genre other than a way of codifying and boxing in and describing something that may not have a succinct way of describing it, you know? So music is music. It doesn't matter the genre or the subgenre or the hyper context. None of that shit really matters. It really only matters in how you sell it. And so if for people to dig what we do, it needs to be called a certain thing, so be it.
Yeah. And so you have a song called Deus Est Machina. So is that song about like how religion is controlling like the masses?
It's more of like an allegory that religion is like a machine, and machines break.
Yeah. And now the new religion is science, which South Park kind of predicted.
Yeah. Okay, so can you tell me something about your jazz influences? Like you have a lot of like jazz in between of the songs, etc. So are you maybe a fan of John Zorn or someone like that?
Yeah, I'm a fan of John Zorn. I think Kenny might be too.
A little bit. He's my boss, so yes.
Yeah.
I have a lot of John Zorn in my life.
Yeah. And so, what about the song Chernobyl Blues? So, what is like the idea behind the song?
It's a simple song about the Chernobyl nuclear meltdown.
Yeah. And so it's also like written in Russian language, and I think that's like one of the really few songs that you wrote in Russian, right?
Yeah, I didn't write the lyrics myself. All those songs that I'm singing in Russian are written by someone else because I want it to be perfect, the grammar and everything. And my Russian's not that great. But that song came out really cool.
Yeah. And what about the Atomic Age video? It's like a really dark, grim, it features like a Cold War madness that we're currently living in, basically, so like a lot of nukes, like even robots and stuff like that. So what was your aim with that video and song?
I didn't make the video, Steve did, but yeah, Atomic Age is pretty much about the atomic age, which is like the 50s, and if everything you said pretty much nails it on the head.
And so also like the song A Rotted Future is about like a nuclear annihilation kind of. So do you think that we're closer to a nuclear war than, let's say, like 30 years ago or something like that?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so, but I also...
That's if we look at what the narrative is right now, and just like the Cold War, it's like you could watch like Fog of War and you have Robert S. McNamara talking about how it was a hot war, but then when the reality is that when the SR-71 Blackbird was flying over Russia and realized, there's really not as many nukes as these guys said they have, they're just trying to call a bluff. Meanwhile, this other country's just stockpiling shit all over the place. For essentially no reason, and wiping out resources, wiping out money that we had set aside to build our nation up, and here we are again, doing it again. I mean, this is all smoke and mirrors, like a lot of things that we've been sold for many decades now. So are we closer to nuclear war? We're as close to that as a rock coming from space or a volcano erupting or any myriad of things that could wipe out life. And it's like to worry about such things is fruitless. To create art and to create music about such things, that can bring catharsis, that could bring edification, that could bring some pleasure out of the insanity of life. But to worry about this shit is exactly what they want us to do. They want us to live in fear, and that's bullshit.
And also, like you said, that's called basically a missile gap myth, that was created by Kennedy, and they had like 10 times more nukes than the Soviet Union back in the days.
But they did a very good job of scaring the shit out of Americans and all people all over the planet. Just to be like, this is a big thing that's going to happen. And I mean, if you step back and think about it, it's like, is that really the best way to go about this? Knowing what these detonations look like, it's
pretty bizarre. And so, what about Alphaville? What is like the concept behind the Alphaville?
What do you think it is?
like a totalitarian control, something like that. I don't know, like like transhumanism and stuff like that. I don't know.
I mean, that's pretty
I wouldn't
close.
say there's like, I don't know. I think it's more important that the listener take what they want. You know, I'm more interested in hearing what you think Alphaville is about than my opinion, because it's at the end of the day, I think that's what makes Imperial Triumphant an interesting project, is that there's a lot to explore, a lot to infer, and a lot of world to kind of dive into.
Yeah. And so, are you excited about the Serbian show?
Very excited. It's our first show in Serbia, and so far the place looks beautiful, and we go on in about 40 minutes.
Yeah. And do you have something to add?
I mean, it's great that we're playing here. I mean, I've been here several times with other bands and projects and different styles of music, so it's great to just be here with Imperial. You know,
Yeah.
I think this is a town that our music will resonate with them.
Yeah. And the last question, like the man behind us, the infamous Mao Zedong. So, what is your opinion on the guy? How many people did he kill, by the way?
Very many.
Is it like 60 million?
Say too many.
Too many people.
Yeah, that's weird. It was not intentional, but yeah, it was in the room. So yeah, fuck it.
It's not. This is not my office.
Okay, so thank you so much for this interview and have a nice day. See ya.
Cheers. Thanks.
Hey people, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Agoraphobic News. Please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel to help us grow. You can also support us on Patreon by becoming one of our patrons. And big shout out to our patron Season of Mist for supporting our work. So stay tuned for another interview and keep it metal.